He loved her enough to stay, but not enough to forget. Leo stood in the middle of Westfield Valley Fair Mall in San Jose, his hoodie half-zipped, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. He wasn't looking at the stores. He was looking at her. Maya. She was sitting on a bench near the fountain, scrolling through her phone, her dark hair falling over one shoulder. She wore an oversized denim jacket and white sneakers that looked brand new. She hadn't seen him yet. His chest hurt. Not the kind of hurt you get from running or holding your breath too long. The kind that sits there, dull and heavy, reminding you that you're not over something you promised yourself you would be. 3 weeks ago, he found out. 3 weeks ago, everything he thought he knew about her, about them, shattered. And now she was here. Same mall where they first met 5 years ago. Same bench. Same girl. But nothing was the same. She looked up. Their eyes met. And Leo didn't move. He wanted to. He wanted to walk toward her, sit beside her, pretend the last year didn't happen. But his feet stayed planted. Because loving someone and trusting someone aren't the same thing. And he didn't know if he could ever do both again. So let me ask you something, have you ever loved someone so much it actually made you angry? Like, angry at yourself for not being able to just let it go? Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. This one's gonna stay with you. Let's begin. Leo didn't walk toward her. He turned around and left the mall. He didn't run. He didn't storm off. He just walked, calm and steady, through the glass doors and into the parking lot where his older brother's Honda Civic sat baking in the afternoon sun. He got in. Closed the door. Sat there. His phone buzzed. Maya, I saw you. He stared at the message for a long time. His thumb hovered over the keyboard. He typed out 3 different replies, deleted all of them, and then locked his phone. He didn't know what to say. That was the problem. For 5 years, he always knew what to say to her. She was the easiest person in the world to talk to. They could spend hours on FaceTime doing nothing, just existing in each other's presence. She'd fall asleep with the call still on, and he'd watch her for a few minutes before hanging up, feeling like the luckiest guy in the world. Now he couldn't even text her back. They had met right here. Westfield Valley Fair. He was 16, she was 15. He'd been with his cousin, killing time while his mom shopped for furniture. Maya was with her friends, laughing too loud near the food court. He looked at her. She looked back. And that was it. They didn't start dating right away. It was slow. Natural. They exchanged Instagrams, then Snapchats, then phone numbers. Late-night texts turned into late-night calls. Weekend hangouts at her house turned into weekend trips to Santa Cruz with friends. Leo had never loved anyone before Maya. He didn't even know what love meant until she came into his life. And somewhere along the way, he decided, without ever saying it out loud, that she was it. The one. The girl he'd marry someday. The mother of his kids. The person he'd grow old with. He never told her that. He thought he had time. Now, sitting in the parking lot, he realized how stupid that was. He assumed she knew. He assumed she could feel it. He assumed that 5 years of showing up, of caring, of being there, was enough to make her understand what she meant to him. But he never said the words. And when things got hard, when they started drifting during one of their breaks, she didn't reach out. Neither did he. He told himself he was giving her space. He told himself that if she needed him, she'd call. He told himself that their love was strong enough to survive a little silence. He was wrong. His phone buzzed again. Maya, can we please talk? He read it. Locked his phone. Started the car. He drove home with the windows down and the radio off. The freeway was loud, but his head was louder. He kept seeing it. The screenshots. He didn't ask to see them. He didn't want to. But when Dante, a guy from her school, pulled him aside at a party 3 weeks ago and said, "Bro, I gotta tell you something about Maya," Leo already knew it was going to ruin him. Dante showed him the photos. Not to be cruel. Dante wasn't like that. He showed him because he thought Leo deserved to know. And now Leo couldn't unsee them. It wasn't about the pictures themselves. It was about what they meant. She gave something to someone else. Something personal. Something that should have been protected. And she gave it to a guy who didn't love her. A guy who manipulated her into thinking that was normal. That sending photos was how you prove you care. Leo wanted to hate him. That other guy. Marcus. But honestly, he didn't have the energy. Because the person he was really angry at wasn't Marcus. It was himself. If he had just texted her. If he had just told her how he felt. If he had just been present instead of assuming. Maybe none of this would have happened. He pulled into his driveway and sat in the car for another 10 minutes. His little sister knocked on the window. "You good?" He nodded. Got out. Went inside. His mom was in the kitchen making dinner. She looked at him with that concerned expression she'd been giving him for weeks now. He hadn't told her anything. But moms always know. "You hungry?" "Not really." She didn't push. He went to his room, closed the door, and lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. His phone buzzed one more time. "Maya, I know you hate me. I just need you to know that I'm sorry. I'll never stop being sorry." He read it. And for the first time in 3 weeks, he replied. "Leo, I don't hate you." 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. "Maya, then why won't you talk to me?" He typed slowly. "Leo, because I don't know how to look at you the same way anymore." She didn't respond after that. And somehow, that hurt more than anything. A week passed. Leo went through the motions. Class at San Jose State. Work at the sneaker store in Eastridge Mall. Home. Sleep. Repeat. He didn't text Maya. She didn't text him either. But she was everywhere. In the songs that came on shuffle. In the corner booth at Phil's Coffee where they used to sit. In the hoodie stuffed in the back of his closet that still smelled like her perfume. He thought about throwing it away. He couldn't. Thursday night, he was restocking shelves at work when his phone buzzed. It wasn't Maya. It was his boy Elijah. "Elijah, yo, you coming to the bonfire Saturday?" "Out at Pacifica." Leo stared at the message. He hadn't been to a group hangout in weeks. Hadn't wanted to. Every time he was around people, he felt like they could see through him. Like they knew something was wrong, even if they didn't know what. "Leo, who's gonna be there?" "Elijah, usual crew. Some people from state. Couple of Maya's friends too probably." Leo's stomach tightened. "Leo, she coming?" "Elijah, ick bro. You want me to find out?" Leo typed out yes. Then deleted it. "Leo, nah, it's cool. I'll think about it." He shoved his phone back in his pocket and went back to work. But his mind was already somewhere else. Friday afternoon, he was sitting in the library on campus pretending to study when someone slid into the seat across from him. He looked up. It was Nina. Maya's best friend since middle school. Leo tensed. "Relax," Nina said, dropping her bag on the table. "I'm not here to fight you." "Then why are you here?" Nina leaned back in her chair and folded her arms. She had that look on her face, the one that meant she was about to say something he didn't want to hear. "Because Maya's a mess. And I'm tired of watching her cry." Leo looked away. He focused on the window, on the students walking past outside, on anything but Nina's eyes. That's not my fault. I didn't say it was. Silence. Nina sighed. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you to forgive her. That's your choice. But I need you to understand something. She leaned forward. She didn't do it to hurt you. She did it because she thought she already lost you. And Marcus, he made her believe that was the only way to be wanted. Leo's jaw tightened. He hated hearing his name. Marcus. The guy who slid into Maya's DMs during one of their breaks. The guy who told her Leo didn't care about her. The guy who convinced her that sending photos was just what couples did. She should have known better, Leo said quietly. Yeah. She should have. And she knows that now. Nina paused. But you should have known better too. Leo's eyes snapped to hers. What's that supposed to mean? It means you disappeared, Leo. Every time things got hard, you went quiet. You pulled back. You made her guess how you felt. And after a while, she stopped guessing. The words hit him harder than he expected. Because deep down, he knew she was right. He didn't respond. He didn't have to. Nina wasn't looking for a fight. She was looking for him to understand. She stood up and grabbed her bag. She's going to the bonfire Saturday. She didn't want to, but I told her she needs to stop hiding. Nina paused at the edge of the table. I'm not saying you have to talk to her. But if you're ever gonna figure out what you actually want, you're gonna have to face her eventually. She walked away without waiting for a reply. Leo sat there for a long time. He didn't study. He didn't scroll. He just sat, staring at the blank notebook in front of him, replaying every moment from the last 2 years. Every time he pulled back. Every time he assumed she understood. Every time he let silence speak instead of opening his mouth. That night, he went home and did something he hadn't done in weeks. He opened his photo gallery. He scrolled past the screenshots he wished he'd never seen and found the older ones. The ones from before everything broke. Maya at the beach in Half Moon Bay, laughing at something he said. Maya at his family's 4th of July barbecue, his little sister hanging off her arm. Maya asleep on his shoulder during a movie marathon at his house. He remembered that night. She woke up halfway through the second movie and looked up at him with sleepy eyes. You didn't wake me up, she whispered. Didn't want to. She smiled and buried her face back into his chest. He never told her, but that was the night he knew he wanted to marry her. Not at 21. Not soon. But someday. When they were ready. When life made sense. He closed the gallery and set his phone on the nightstand. He had a choice to make. He could keep avoiding her. Keep protecting himself. Keep living in this gray space where he wasn't moving forward and he wasn't moving on. Or he could face her. Face the pain. Face the anger. Face the part of himself that still loved her so much it scared him. He didn't know which one he was going to choose. But Saturday was coming. And so was the truth. Saturday came faster than Leo expected. He spent the whole day doing nothing. Cleaning his room. Watching videos he didn't care about. Lying on his bed staring at the ceiling while the sun moved across the wall. By 6 o'clock, he still hadn't decided if he was going. His phone sat on the nightstand. Silent. No texts from Maya. No pressure from Elijah. Just him in the quiet and the weight of a decision he kept pushing off. At 7, his mom knocked on the door. You eating dinner with us? Maybe later. She opened the door anyway. Leaned against the frame with her arms crossed. You've been hiding in here for weeks, Leo. I'm not hiding. Then what do you call it? He didn't answer. She walked over and sat on the edge of his bed. She didn't say anything for a minute. Just sat there, the way she used to when he was a kid and couldn't sleep. I don't know what happened, she said finally. And I'm not asking you to tell me. But whatever it is, you can't outrun it by staying in this room. Leo stared at the ceiling. I don't know what to do. About what? He hesitated. He hadn't told anyone. Not his mom. Not Elijah. Not anyone. The only people who knew were Dante, Nina, and Maya. But sitting here, in the quiet, with his mom looking at him like she already understood more than he gave her credit for, he felt the walls crack a little. There's this girl, he said quietly. His mom didn't react. Didn't smile. Didn't tease. She just listened. I love her. Like, really love her. And she did something that hurt me. And I don't know if I can forgive her. Did she apologize? Yeah. Did she mean it? Leo thought about the week Maya spent texting him. Calling him. Crying. Saying sorry over and over until her voice gave out. Yeah. She meant it. His mom nodded slowly. Then the question isn't whether you can forgive her. It's whether you want to. Leo turned his head to look at her. What's the difference? Forgiveness isn't something that just happens, Mijo. It's a choice. You have to decide if the love you have is stronger than the hurt you're carrying. She paused. And only you can answer that. She stood up and walked to the door. Whatever you decide, don't let fear make the choice for you. She left. And Leo lay there, her words settling into his chest like stones. At 8:30, he got up. He put on a black hoodie and his cleanest pair of jeans. He grabbed his keys. He didn't think about it too hard because he knew if he did, he'd talk himself out of it. The drive to Pacifica took 40 minutes. The beach was dark by the time he got there, but he could see the glow of the bonfire in the distance. A few cars were parked along the road. Music floated through the air, muffled by the wind. He sat in the car for 5 minutes. Then 10. His hands gripped the steering wheel like he was trying to anchor himself. Finally, he got out. The sand was cold under his sneakers. The fire was bigger than he expected, flames licking up toward the sky, surrounded by a loose circle of people laughing and talking. He spotted Elijah first. Then a few other guys from school. Then some girls from Maya's side. And then he saw her. She was sitting on a blanket near the edge of the group, a little separate from everyone else. Her knees were pulled up to her chest. She was staring at the fire, not talking to anyone. She looked smaller than he remembered. Not physically. Just smaller. Like something inside her had dimmed. Leo stopped walking. For a moment, he thought about turning around. Getting back in the car. Driving home and pretending he never came. But then Maya looked up. Their eyes met across the fire. And everything else faded. She didn't move. Neither did he. The noise around them, laughter, music, conversation, blurred into nothing. It was just them. Just this moment. Just the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on the space between them. Maya's eyes were red. Like she'd been crying before he got there. Like she hadn't stopped crying for weeks. Leo's chest ached. He hated that. Hated that even after everything, seeing her hurt made him want to fix it. Made him want to cross the distance between them and hold her like he used to. But he didn't move. Because the other part of him, the part that remembered the screenshots, the betrayal, the weeks of silence, was still there. Still burning. Still wounded. Maya stood up slowly. She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her jacket and started walking toward him. Leo's heart pounded. She stopped a few feet away. Close enough to touch. Close enough for him to see the tears building in her eyes again. You came, she whispered. He nodded. I didn't think you would. I almost didn't. She flinched. Just barely. But he saw it. Silence stretched between them. The fire crackled. Someone laughed somewhere behind them. Maya took a shaky breath. Leo, Not here, he said quietly. She blinked. He glanced at the group. A few people were already watching them. Curious. Waiting for drama. Let's go somewhere we can actually talk. Maya nodded. She didn't argue. She just followed him as he turned and walked back toward the parking lot. They passed the glow of the fire. They passed the laughter and the noise. And they kept walking until they reached the edge of the beach, where the sound of the waves drowned out everything else. Leo stopped near a lifeguard tower. The moon was bright enough to see by. The ocean stretched out in front of them, black and endless. He didn't look at her. I don't know how to do this, he said. Maya stood beside him, arms wrapped around herself. Do what? This. Us. Any of it. He exhaled. I keep telling myself to move on. To let you go. But I can't. And I hate myself for it. Maya's voice cracked. You think I don't feel the same way? You think I'm not angry at myself every single day for what I did? I know you are. Then why won't you let me fix it? Leo finally turned to look at her. Because I don't know if it can be fixed, Maya. I don't know if I can ever look at you and not think about what you did. And that scares me more than losing you. The words hung between them. Maya didn't respond. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face, the wind pulling at her hair. And Leo realized, for the first time, that this wasn't just about forgiveness. It was about whether he was brave enough to try again. They stood there for a long time. The waves crashed in the distance. The wind moved between them like a third presence, cold and indifferent. Maya wiped her face with the back of her hand. She wasn't sobbing. She was just crying quietly, the way people do when they've run out of energy for anything louder. Leo watched her. And for the first time in weeks, he didn't feel angry. He just felt tired. Tired of avoiding her. Tired of replaying the same images in his head. Tired of loving someone and punishing them for it at the same time. I need to know something, he said finally. Maya looked at him. Her eyes were swollen. Her voice was hoarse. Anything. Did you love him? The question landed like a stone dropped into still water. Maya shook her head slowly. No. Then why? She didn't answer right away. She looked out at the ocean, at the waves folding over themselves again and again. Because I thought you were done with me, she said quietly. We hadn't talked in 3 weeks. You didn't text. You didn't call. And I kept telling myself you just needed space, but then Marcus started messaging me and he made me feel like... She stopped. Swallowed. Like I still existed. Leo's jaw tightened. I never stopped thinking about you. Not for one day. I know that now. Her voice broke. But I didn't know it then. And I was scared, Leo. I was scared that I'd already lost you and I didn't even know why. He looked at her. Really looked at her. Not at the girl who hurt him. Not at the girl in the screenshots. But at the girl he fell in love with 5 years ago in a crowded mall. The girl who laughed too loud. The girl who fell asleep on his shoulder. The girl who made him believe in a future he never thought he'd have. She was still there. Broken. Ashamed. But still there. Leo exhaled slowly. I should have told you. Maya blinked. Told me what? How I felt. What you meant to me. He paused. I always assumed you knew. I thought if I just showed up, if I just stayed, that would be enough. But I never actually said the words. Maya shook her head. That's not your fault. You didn't make me do what I did. That was my choice. My mistake. I know. But I made mistakes too. He looked down at his hands. I pulled away every time things got hard. I made you guess instead of giving you answers. And when you needed me to fight for you, I went quiet. The words felt strange coming out of his mouth. He'd never admitted this to anyone. Not even to himself. But standing here, with the ocean stretching out in front of them and the weight of everything pressing down on his shoulders, he realized that holding on to blame, hers or his, wasn't going to fix anything. It was just going to keep them both stuck. Maya took a step closer. I'm not asking you to forget what I did, she said softly. I'm not asking you to pretend it didn't happen. She hesitated. I just need to know if there's any part of you that still wants this. That still wants us. Leo didn't answer right away. He thought about everything. The 5 years of late-night calls. The dreams he had of their future. The way she looked at him like he was the only person in the world who mattered. He thought about the betrayal. The photos. The weeks of silence. And then he thought about what his mom said. Forgiveness isn't something that just happens. It's a choice. He looked at Maya. I don't know how to trust you again, he said honestly. And I don't know if I ever will. Her face crumpled. But I know I still love you. And I know that walking away from this, from us, would hurt more than trying to figure it out. Maya's breath caught. What are you saying? Leo stepped closer. Close enough to see the tears still wet on her cheeks. Close enough to smell the faint scent of her shampoo, the same one she'd used for years. I'm saying I don't have all the answers. I'm saying it's not going to be easy. But if you're willing to try. He paused. Then so am I. Maya stared at him. For a moment, she didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stood there like she was afraid to believe what she was hearing. Then, slowly, she nodded. I'll do whatever it takes, she whispered. I swear, Leo. I'll spend the rest of my life proving to you that I'm worth it. He didn't respond with words. He just reached out and took her hand. It wasn't a grand gesture. It wasn't dramatic. It was just his fingers lacing through hers, the way they had 100 times before. But this time, it meant something different. This time, it was a choice. They stood there for a while, hand in hand, staring at the ocean. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. It wasn't filled with anger or hurt or confusion. It was just quiet. And for the first time in weeks, Leo felt something loosen in his chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But the beginning of it. They didn't go back to the bonfire. Instead, they walked along the shoreline, shoes in hand, the cold water rushing over their feet every few seconds. The moon hung low over the water, casting silver light across the waves. They didn't talk about Marcus. They didn't talk about the photos. They just walked. And slowly, carefully, they started talking about other things. You remember that time we got lost in Santa Cruz? Maya asked, her voice still a little raw. Leo almost smiled. You mean when you swore you knew a shortcut and we ended up in some random neighborhood for 2 hours? It wasn't 2 hours. It was definitely 2 hours. Maya laughed quietly. It was small. Fragile. But it was real. Leo glanced at her. She looked different in the moonlight. Softer. Like the girl he remembered before everything got complicated. I missed that, he said. Missed what? Your laugh. Maya looked down at the sand. I haven't had much to laugh about lately. Leo didn't respond. He just kept walking beside her, their shoulders almost touching. After a while, they stopped near a cluster of rocks and sat down. The bonfire was a distant glow behind them now. The noise from the party had faded completely. It was just them and the ocean. Maya pulled her knees up to her chest and wrapped her arms around them. "Can I ask you something?" Leo nodded. "When Dante told you, what did you feel?" He didn't answer right away. He stared at the water, watching the waves rise and fall. "Honestly? Yeah." He exhaled. "I felt like someone reached into my chest and ripped something out. Like everything I thought I knew about you, about us, was a lie." Maya flinched. "I didn't want to believe it," he continued. "I kept telling myself there was an explanation. That it wasn't what it looked like. But then I asked you, and you admitted it, and..." He shook his head. "I didn't know what to do with that." Maya's eyes filled with tears again. "I'm so sorry. I know. I wish I could take it back. I know that too." She wiped her face with her sleeve. "I hate myself for what I did. Every single day. I look in the mirror and I don't even recognize who I was during that time. It's like I was someone else. Someone stupid. Someone desperate." Leo turned to look at her. "You're not stupid, Maya." "Then why did I do something so stupid?" He didn't have an answer for that. Because the truth was, he'd asked himself the same question 1,000 times. Why did she do it? How could she do it? What was she thinking? But sitting here now, listening to her voice break, watching her tear herself apart with guilt, he realized that asking why wasn't going to change anything. It happened. It hurt. And now they had to decide what to do with the pieces. "I'm not going to lie to you," Leo said quietly. "There's a part of me that's still angry. A part of me that might always be angry." Maya nodded. She didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. She just listened. "But there's another part of me that knows people make mistakes. That knows you're not defined by the worst thing you've ever done." He paused. "And that part of me still sees the girl I fell in love with." Maya looked at him. Her eyes were red. Her cheeks were wet. But there was something else there now. Hope. Fragile. Flickering. But real. "I don't expect this to be easy," Leo continued. "And I don't expect us to just go back to the way things were. That's not how this works. I know. But I'm willing to try. If you are." Maya nodded slowly. "I am. I swear I am." Leo reached over and took her hand again. She squeezed it like she was afraid he'd disappear if she let go. They sat there for a long time. The waves kept coming. The moon kept shining. The world kept turning. And somewhere between the silence and the sound of the ocean, something shifted. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. It was something smaller. Something quieter. It was the decision to keep trying. Eventually, they stood up and started walking back toward the parking lot. Their hands stayed intertwined the whole way. When they reached Leo's car, Maya stopped. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For not giving up on me." Leo looked at her. He didn't say anything. He just pulled her into a hug. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't passionate. It was just two people holding onto each other in the dark, trying to find their way back to something real. Maya buried her face in his chest. He rested his chin on top of her head. And for the first time in weeks, the weight in his chest didn't feel quite so heavy. 6 months later. Leo sat on the hood of his car in the parking lot of Westfield Valley Fair Mall, waiting. The sun was setting behind the buildings, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The air was warm. Summer had finally arrived. His phone buzzed. "Maya, I'm here. Where are you? Leo, same spot. You know the one. He watched the entrance, his heart beating a little faster than he wanted to admit. A minute later, she appeared. She was wearing a white sundress and those same white sneakers she had on the day he saw her at the mall 6 months ago. Her hair was longer now, falling past her shoulders in loose waves. She looked happy. That was the thing that still surprised him sometimes. The way happiness had slowly returned to her face. The way her laugh came easier now. The way she looked at him without that constant shadow of guilt in her eyes. It hadn't been easy getting here. There were hard conversations. Late nights where old wounds reopened. Moments where Leo wasn't sure he could keep going. But they kept showing up. Both of them. And slowly, day by day, trust started to rebuild. Maya walked over and hopped onto the hood beside him. You're being dramatic, she said, bumping her shoulder against his. How am I being dramatic? Bringing me back to the mall where we first met? That's peak romance movie behavior. Leo shrugged. Maybe I just wanted Wetzel's pretzels. Maya laughed. Sure. That's definitely why. He smiled. They sat there for a while, watching people come and go through the mall entrance. Families. Couples. Groups of teenagers who reminded Leo of who they used to be. You remember the first time we talked? Maya asked. Yeah. You were with your friends near the food court. You were laughing at something. I was laughing at you. Leo turned to look at her. What? Maya grinned. You had this look on your face. Like you were trying so hard to play it cool, but you kept glancing at me every 5 seconds. I was not. You absolutely were. He shook his head, but he was smiling. Okay, maybe I was. Maya leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm glad you were. They stayed like that for a while. No phones. No distractions. Just the two of them, sitting in the place where everything started. Eventually, Maya spoke again. Leo? Yeah. Do you ever think about the future? He didn't answer right away. He thought about all the dreams he used to have. The ones where Maya was his wife. The ones where they had kids together. The ones where they grew old side by side. He'd buried those dreams for a while. After everything happened, he convinced himself they were gone forever. But lately, they'd started coming back. Not the same way as before. Not naive or certain. Just hopeful. Yeah, he said finally. I think about it. Maya lifted her head and looked at him. What do you see? Leo turned to face her. Her eyes were soft. Open. Vulnerable in a way she rarely let herself be with anyone else. I see us, he said quietly. I don't know exactly what it looks like. I don't know where we'll be or what we'll be doing. But I know you're there. And I know I want you to be. Maya's eyes filled with tears. But these weren't the tears he'd seen 6 months ago. These were different. These were relief. I want that too, she whispered. More than anything. Leo reached over and wiped a tear from her cheek with his thumb. Then we'll figure it out. Together. She nodded. And then she kissed him. It was soft. Gentle. The kind of kiss that didn't need to prove anything. It was just two people who had been through the worst of each other and decided to stay anyway. When they pulled apart, the sun had almost disappeared behind the horizon. The sky was purple now, fading into night. Leo hopped off the hood and offered Maya his hand. Come on. Where are we going? Wetzel's pretzels. I wasn't joking earlier. Maya laughed and took his hand. They walked into the mall together, fingers intertwined, their shadows stretching long behind them. They didn't talk about the past that night. They didn't need to. It was still there. It would probably always be there. But it didn't control them anymore. They had learned something important over the last 6 months. Love isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. It's about showing up even when it's hard. It's about choosing each other over and over again, even when it would be easier to walk away. Leo had spent weeks wondering if he could ever forgive Maya. He realized now that forgiveness wasn't a single moment. It wasn't a switch you flipped. It was a process. And he was still in it. But every day, it got a little easier. Every day, the anger faded a little more. And every day, the love grew stronger. They sat in the food court for 2 hours. Eating pretzels. Talking about nothing. Laughing at old memories. By the time they left, the mall was closing. They walked to their cars, parked side by side the way they always used to. Maya turned to face him. "Thank you, Leo." "For what?" "For giving me a second chance. For not letting me go." She paused. "For loving me even when I didn't deserve it." Leo looked at her. "You always deserved it, Maya. You just forgot for a while." She smiled. It was the kind of smile that reminded him why he fell in love with her in the first place. He watched her get in her car and drive away, her taillights disappearing into the night. Then he got in his own car and sat there for a moment. He thought about everything they'd been through. The love. The pain. The silence. The screaming. The choice to stay. He didn't regret it. Not for a second. He started the car and pulled out of the parking lot. The road stretched out in front of him, dark and quiet. And for the first time in a long time, Leo wasn't afraid of what came next. Because whatever it was, he wouldn't be facing it alone. "Hey, if you made it this far, thank you." Seriously. Stories like this aren't always easy to tell, and they're definitely not easy to sit through. But I appreciate you being here. If this hit different for you, if it reminded you of something or someone, drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one. And tell me, where are you watching from right now? If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories coming, and I don't want you to miss them. Until next time.